What is going on, guys? Tonight we're in the shop and we're going to continue working on dead plates. This is my 1978 Cherokee Chief that in the last video I actually bobbed the bed and chopped the top off right there, so you can see the kind of hack job that I did right there. So I ended up cutting 11 inches out of this and then ended up cutting the whole top off. So if you're unsure of what's going on, this is a budget build that I'm doing. I have $5,000 to build this Jeep, and so far I've just basically took things away from it and then put some swampers on it. But tonight we're going to start kind of adding some stuff to it. So as you can see here, I have a factory TJ roll cage that I cut 3 inches out of each post, and that's going to be my roll cage that I put in here. So I'm not trying to throw a bunch of DOM and a bunch of money into this roll cage. So what I plan on doing tonight is I'm going to cut off these tack welds and I'm going to sleeve both of these tubes in order to make them probably stronger than they were from the factory. But I plan to put a bar across there, the factory bar across there, and then the other one right there, and then I'm gonna run my seat belts off of that. I'm unsure exactly how I'm gonna tie this into the frame, so I've got to somehow incorporate this into the frame. This shouldn't be too terribly bad, minus the rust. There's massive rust holes all in this floor, but that's not important. So what I plan on doing is just tying something into the frame right there, going up to this roll cage. That way the roll cage bolts onto the floor, not this. But I really dig how the cage kind of comes out halfway. If it was up to me, I'd probably want the cage to go the full length of the vehicle. But like I said, I'm trying to keep all my weight forward for right now for the competition. But I at least think it'll be strong enough to where the corners can identify the bodies, which is pretty much all we need. So I've got the cage fully removed from the Jeep, and so now I'm just gonna pretty much just break my tack welds. That's pretty easy. So what I plan on doing is I have a very thick piece of DOM tubing that I kind of just sanded down just real clean. So I'm gonna clean out the inside of this as much as I can and get my tack welds off. And then of course I'm gonna come in here and drill some holes for rosette welds. That way just in case these welds right here fail or crack, those rosette welds, they're pretty much impossible to crack. I'm gonna start cleaning this out and then we'll start drilling some holes in it. I've got the tubes where it will pretty much go in. I'm just gonna have to tap it in with a mallet. There is a seatbelt bar that runs all the way through, and this is gonna be sitting on top of that, like right in there, something like that. So it's gonna be, oh yeah, see, it's pretty tight, but I just got to hit it on a little bit with a rubber mallet. And you can see right there, that's the hole that I drilled for my rosette weld. Got 2 of those. A stock TJ roll cage. It's pretty thin wall, but like I said, I'm not going for perfect here. I'm just going to at least be able to crawl out from underneath it if something happens. But anyway, I'm gonna hammer this on, and then we're gonna see if we can get this tack welded all together. Screwed up sunny. So I don't know if you heard, as I was tapping, the sound kind of changed, but I can look in there and see that it's pretty much, that it's bottomed out right there. That's pretty cool. And then this will go just like this. Ah, that is sweet. So my marks are matched up, so I know that it will go back in the Jeep this way right here. And I've got a decent amount of gap right there for welding. So you don't want just pipes touching. You actually want to put just a little bit of gap in between them, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. That way you can fill that in with weld and have more integrity that way. So since I know that it already fits, since I've already tack welded, I'm probably just gonna send this one on home and go ahead and weld it all up, and then we'll jump to the rear there. So as you saw, I got the crossbar in, and when I did that, it kind of pulled in these rear roll bars. So I'm gonna have to do something where I may have to pull these back in with like a ratchet strap or something like that, and then, you know, I'm gonna be bracing the bottom of those to the frame. You know, I'm just gonna build something to come up from the frame right there. So all this is just gonna be tied in. And so I'm not going to be doing any welding. I'm not going to weld this cage in just yet because I don't have any, because honestly I don't have anything to weld it to because everything is so rusted. I think I'm going to put a pin in the cage for right now. But man, that looks super cool. I kind of dig the light blue roll cage and the burgundy interior. I don't know why. What do y'all think? Should I paint the roll cage black or burgundy? Let me know in the comments what color I should paint it. So like I said, I'm just gonna put a pin in the roll cage for right now. And I think I'm going to jump to, I need to go ahead and do some rear bracing and support on this frame here. And I need to get somewhat of a bumper and definitely a recovery point. So this is a big girl, and she's gonna be, imagine she's gonna be pulling some people off the trail. And then if this thing gets stuck, I'm probably gonna need 2 or 3 XJs pulling on this. So I definitely want a super, super strong recovery point. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this box, some scrap metal that I had laying around, and it actually fits perfectly right here. So I think I'm gonna be putting that in, and we're putting some gussets on the back side. And then I'll take the same thing right here, just like that. And then I'm gonna be putting this bumper on. So I got this bumper off a project Jeep that I had parted out. It's just a piece of 2x6 cut up with a receiver hitch in the center of it. So that would be perfect for welding onto here. And so what I'll do is I'll brace it up. So I'll brace the rear bumper to this, to this, to this, this, and this on the top and bottom. So it's gonna be pulling from every direction on this Jeep. So it doesn't matter if I'm side pulling or, you know, I'm getting pulled straight on. You know, it's going to be super strong and super rigid. And then what I may do is I may actually brace up that reese hitch up underneath it. And what I actually may do is I may brace the back side of the Jeep to this rear bumper somehow. So I'm just going to incorporate everything and just basically make it super impossible to ever take back apart without a plasma cutter. But like I said, this is just a competition Jeep and I don't really care. So the most budget friendly way and probably the strongest way. I need to come in here and start cleaning up some of this rusty metal. Get all of these Jeeps, like, looks like it came factory with welding slag. And so I'm definitely going to pull some measurements, make sure that the frame is where it needs to be, because it is kind of a little bit rusty. And then I've got to obviously clean these up, so they'll be going right there just like that. And what are you doing, cat? But they'll be going there just like that, getting welded all the way around, inside and out. So that alone will make this frame stronger, and then we'll tie it all together with this bumper here. What are you doing to the bumper? Me and Pickle here are about to get to work. I've got some chili water, he's got some cat food, and we're about to make a night of it. Ain't that right, Pickle? There you go, dude. Bro's gonna have cat farts later. This cleaned up as good as I'm going to get it, or do it, whichever one. And so now I'm just going to get this mocked up into here, right where I need it. And looks about right where I need it to go, and it looks about like right there. Somewhere along where I don't have the least amount of welding gaps that I have, that's probably where I'm just going to weld it up. This really isn't going to be precise or anything like that. The only precision that I'm going for is when I weld this to the bumper. I want it to be welded straight, so that way if I need to, push this out just a little bit, I can. But these right here, I'm just going to go ahead and tack these on and send them home. Just like that. So off camera, I went on the frame itself and welded these on the back side. That way I'm not just pulling from right here, I'm also pulling from the back. And then once this bumper goes on, I'm just gonna start pulling stuff off of the bumper, and I'm gonna tie that into the frame with some gussets.
It's all coming together. It's all coming together. This is it.
I want to get this bumper on, and I want to make sure that these frame rails are where they're supposed to be. Like, look how much the whole frame moves, and I don't like that. And of course I did take, a huge structure out whenever I bought the frame, but still I want this to be where it's supposed to be, because I feel like right now they're kind of like pulled in, and I want to pull them back up. I'm probably going to get a jack or something underneath it just to make sure that it's correct. And then I'm going to tack weld this bumper on. So this bumper is going to be doing a lot, so I want it definitely strong and supported from the Jeep. The bumper is going to be keeping this frame true. The bumper is also going to be a recovery point, and then it's also just going to be a rear bumper. So it's going to be, protection in the rear. That way if I back into a tree or something like that. So it's going to be doing a lot of work, so I definitely want it strong. So I've got the bumper where I want it, and now I can throw a tack weld on here. 1 inch. Ha! That is like absolutely perfect. First try. Sweet. So I have it perfectly level with the Jeep, and then I have it perfectly centered, and it honestly looks level, so that's pretty important. So I know the frame isn't as tweaked as I thought it was, but I don't know. I like this. I like this look. This is definitely a Teleco style bumper, which I really dig. So I got the bumper all welded up and it is super sturdy, but I want to go just a little bit further, and I'm gonna take some 1/4-inch metal and I'm just gonna start plating this where pretty much the easiest places to weld and get to. So I'm probably just gonna drop this like right there. That way I'm just kind of pulling on the leaf spring bracket also, just kind of getting this, just giving this bumper a little bit more leverage on this frame. But I'm just going in here and just doing some really super simple, fast and easy gussets. So I don't think this little piece of metal is going to be the make it or break it, but I feel like it's just going to help distribute out the load if I'm being snatched on, or if I'm pulling up one of those old Cherokees up the trail. I'm going to tack weld this on and then tack weld the other one and then fully weld them up. Not pulling any measurements, just using my micrometer. There's like a bird right there looking at me screaming. Oh my God, go away.
Pretty bird.
Shit. So you can see right in here where I've got it all welded up. I'm gonna let this cool and I may come back with another pass over top of it just to kind of give it some cleaner welds. So this metal that I'm welding to, it's really porous. It's got a lot of craters in it, and inside of those craters it has some rust. And I'm not getting the greatest welds like I would want, but like I said, this is a budget build. This is Teleco. These are Teleco welds. That's what I'm gonna call them. All right, check it out. Got the bumper on, got my dead license plate, and then I ended up I found this antenna mount, this fire stick mount in my scrap pile. I feel like that definitely fits the Teleco style right there. And plus this had a fire stick mount on it, but it was all rusted up. So I got that one on there. I feel like that looks super cool. So whenever I plan on mounting like a CB radio in here. That way I can talk to other car beds.
Your bed is a car.
Yeah, but it's a sweet car.
I did go in and paint all my welds. I'm not painting the bumper. I like the kind of patina look on there. But what I plan to do, before I use this as a recovery point, I want to take some metal and just kind of triangulate. Maybe have a bar that runs from like right here to the frame, and then a bar that goes right here to the frame up underneath. This is probably stronger than like a factory Jeep bumper on something, but I still would want some, just because there's a lot of room right there for this to bend and everything, and I don't want to do that. But man, that looks super cool. I love that bumper, and I love the 6 feet under license plate too. 2009. So I think the next thing that I'm gonna jump back onto is the roll cage. I was gonna kind of wait until I got my sliders on. I don't want to leave this undone. So I think what I'm gonna do is I've got this pretty much where I want it. I've just got to kind of tweak it just a little bit. Because whenever I put that center bar in, nothing really wanted to line up. Sorry about the birds, they're really annoying. But what I think I'm gonna do is, because this lands directly under the channel down here. No, let's see if I can show you. So it lands on this channel right there. I think I'm just going to drill this out. I'm gonna drill these 2 holes out, and then I'm gonna drill some holes right here. And I'm just gonna run some huge grade 8 bolts all the way through, plate it up underneath, and then I'm gonna do the same thing for right here. But on these, what I plan on doing is putting a plate up underneath it and then tying that plate into the frame. So the cage is going to be incorporated with the frame. I've just got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that, just because everything is just so rusty. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this lined up exactly where I want it, and then I'm gonna drill these holes out. I did find a huge piece of scrap metal that was big enough to cut in half, and I got one for the other side too. So I think what I'm gonna do is just to make this cage a little bit stronger and a little bit better, since I am gonna be running my seat belts off of it. I want to incorporate a lot more of a footprint than just a little piece of 6-inch plate right here. So obviously this is like 11 inches by 22 inches. So I'm going to be bolting this on in different locations and then tying it into the frame and the sliders in different locations. So yes, this is pretty much some typical Eastern North Carolina redneck stuff.
I'm what you might call a redneck.
This is going to do nothing but make it stronger and make the Jeep better than it is. So like I said, this is what I got, people. Gosh, these birds are really interested in what I'm doing. They're like coming up to the door right here and yelling at me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up really good, and I'm actually going to weld the cage to this, and then I'm going to be drilling holes, and then I'm going to be putting gussets, you know, all the way around it. Just making this super strong and super rigid, and then I'm gonna be coming in and drilling some holes and then going into the frame that way up underneath. So I've got some plates. Oh, I don't know what I did with them. I cut some plates out somewhere. Oh, crap. Oh, biscuits. I don't know what I did with them. But I'm gonna be basically bolting up a plate up underneath this plate and going into the frame. So that is what I'm going to work on now. This is a super dirty job, and I'm probably taking years off of my life, but it's going to be on a budget, and that's all that matters. All this cleaned up, and now I'm ready to tack weld. The more I mess with this, the more I like it, even though it looks absolutely terrible. I know it's gonna be a lot stronger. So I'm gonna go ahead and start tack welding this up, and then I'm going to make sure everything's good on the passenger side, and then I'll probably go ahead and weld all this up. Got this all squared up where I want it, and it weirdly fits pretty good. So as you can see, I have everything welded up, except for that part. I forgot that part. But I want to put something right here. That way there's something kind of pulling it down right there. I just found this old coil retainer right here, and I'm just going to pretty much just put it right there and weld it in. That way I know that it's not going to go anywhere. But I'm feeling really good about this. Oh, oh gosh. Oh, that smells terrible. Make sure you get all the insulation out. I have all the holes drilled. I've got one of the bolts in. I may have to do something with this one because it's kind of close to that body bushing there, but it'd probably be fine. So I'm just using some, so I'm gonna come back and put grade 8 bolts and hardware in here, but this is just all I had right now. But that is gonna get pulled down just like that. This one is gonna go right there. And then this one's gonna go right there. And this one, oh, I need another short one for the back. And then I got one back here. So what I'm going to do is so this one is in the channel, this one is in the channel, and this one is in the channel. So I had to drill through the channel, and I'm going to end up just kind of sandwiching those. So it's going to be pulling, so this is going to be pulling down onto this channel that runs all along here. And then this one right here, I'm just going to put a huge plate right there. And then I'm thinking about coming back and drilling some more holes right here and just double plating it whenever I get my sliders in. I mean, this is basically like the county fairgrounds demolition derby roll cage, which is fine, which is fine. I have all of the brackets up underneath. I have all of the washers and everything that I'm going to be using. And like I said, I'm just tightening this up just snug for right now because I'm going to be replacing this hardware with grade 8 all the way around. But I just want to make sure it, you know, cinches down like it's supposed to. I've got everything tightened up and I'm pretty satisfied with it. Like I said, I may come in and just put some more bracing in here. So I've still got to put my seat in, and I think I'm gonna do my seat and my slider at the same time. That way everything just incorporates all together real nicely. This was kind of a lot of work, but everything is when you're working with rust. So now I'm going to hop over there and do the same thing on the passenger side. All right, so I did this side just a little bit different, and that is pretty much because I'm lazy because I didn't want to fight with this seat. So what I did was actually I threw this back. There really wasn't anything up here that I could grab onto, and there was back here, and I'll show you up underneath it. This is not the finished product, but this is just what I have for right now. So I just have some pieces of thick metal right there, some bracing, and then I have some more up there. And then I have some plates up there. So this is like pretty dang strong. Now I'm gonna work on getting this rear cage section secured. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a brace across right there, just kind of tying everything together. Just because this is so rusty, I found a piece of scrap metal and I'm gonna cut it up and make it work in the back of this. This is what I've got right here. I just took that channel, that piece of metal, and I cut the channels out of it so that it just kind of sits a little more flush. So I had to put a ratchet strap on this one just because for some reason the cage was wanting to go in this direction, so I'm trying to get it back to go this direction. And the reason being is because whenever I was putting the cage inside of the Jeep, I didn't realize that I was going to have to kind of move the cage around some of the underlying structures to get the cage to bolt where I wanted it to bolt down. So now I'm just going to go ahead and tack weld this on. All right, so check that out. So I got the bar all the way across right there, and I got it all tied into the frame. Got some decent welds on it. Just got to paint those. This thing is coming right along. I really dig that. So now I can put something in there like a net or anything like that, and that'll keep everything off of that'll keep my tool bag, my toolboxes from slamming into my gas tank and causing a massive explosion.
Boom!
Call it a night. Maybe get back out here in a little bit and clean up. All right, so I got everything cleaned up, sort of in my shop, got the Jeep cleaned out. And then I went and painted everything that I welded with some Steel-It. And the reason I painted it with Steel-It is that way, if I want to come back and put some more gussets on this, I can, but I think it's pretty strong and I think it'll be fine once I incorporate it into my sliders and my frame. I think it's probably gonna be a lot stronger than this cage was like in a TJ or something, but then again, in a rollover, this is probably a little bit more weight than a TJ, but And then you can see back here where I've got it just resting right now. I've got to do some readjustments on the driver's side. I'm going to be making something that kind of just separates my tools from my gas tank right here. And what I may end up doing is just going through the floor and then just bracing that bar right there through the floor to the frame. And that way I won't have to cut up my wheel wells and everything like that. Because before I was just going to come through right here and go down, but I think it'll actually be stronger if I just go through the floor. But I will probably be doing that later on down the road because I want to get a lot more things figured out first. I feel like I've been like the Tasmanian devil on this Jeep because I've done like a little bit of everything everywhere, but I can't really finish what I'm working on for something else. So it's kind of like I'm just jumping back and forth like I'm a pinball machine. But I am really excited about how this thing is turning out. I think it is awesome. What do y'all think? I really dig it, especially with those factory Jeep hubcaps on there. I feel like that is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm really looking for a way to connect those hubcaps to those Mickey Thompson wheels. I'm really not above self-tapping screws, but I would like something a little bit more sophisticated than that. So let me know in the comments of what I could do to get those hubcaps to stay on those Mickey Thompson wheels, because I feel like that really completes the look. Because right now they're just kind of sitting up there. But anyway, guys, I'm probably going to end this video right here. I really appreciate y'all watching me work on dead plates here. I think this thing is going to be a super cool build. I really hope this thing performs as good as it looks whenever I compete in the Bleep and Jeep Beast Wars coming up this October. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see y'all on the next one.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.